Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wondergoal, the soccer betting podcast from the Action Network, presented to you by Bet365. My name is Michael Leboff, and joining me for this, our final group stage episode of Euro 2024, are BJ Cunningham and Sam Ingram. Together, the three of us will go on a little handicapping adventure through the final eight group stage matches. These are taking place on Tuesday, June the 25th and Wednesday, June the 26th. Four matches each day. They kick them off simultaneously. Each group kicks off their final matches simultaneously. So we'll start with Group D, France, Poland, Netherlands, Austria. These are 12 p.m. Eastern time kickoffs on Tuesday. We'll start with France and Poland. There is a lot of I think there's going to be a lot of chaos in these two games. I don't think that this game really has the recipe for it, but as we get deeper into this episode, I think we'll have a lot to talk about. Because France is through, Poland is the only. As we record right now, we're recording this before the games on Monday, but as we stand right now, Poland was the only team that was eliminated before the third match of the group stage. France is obviously basically one close to 100% in to the round of 16, but they'll want to win Group D. They are minus 350 favorites to beat Poland. Poland is coming back 9-1. The draw here is plus 475. BJ, we've talked a little bit already about it, but it's important to note the scenarios for advancing, but you don't ever want to overreact to them because you're already paying a premium in those situations. And is this one where you think everyone's kind of just going to flock to France because Poland's got nothing to play for, and maybe there's a little bit of value going the other way?
Of course, yeah. I mean, we saw this at the World Cup, right, Michael, where there were certain scenarios where big favorites essentially had either nothing to play for or a situation where they just needed a draw or a win, and they just tend to get a little bit overvalued. So the situation is that if France wins this match, they will essentially win the group. I think the Netherlands has the tiebreaker over them as it currently stands. But obviously we'll talk about the Netherlands and Austria in a second. France is obviously well more positioned to win the group here. But we don't know if Kylian Mbappe is going to play. He did not play against the Netherlands, and it was very clear that France was really missing him inside the final third because they were relying on Griezmann, Rabiot, Thuram, Dembele to get on the end of a lot of these chances, and they just flat out struggled. There's really no way of describing it. And honestly, France, through these first couple of matches, haven't really looked that great. I'm guessing they're probably going to save Mbappe, would be my guess in this type of situation. We'll obviously see. But I mean, Poland has been really unlucky to have 0 points so far. Like, they were pretty good against Austria. They were good against Netherlands. Expected goals against Netherlands was 1.47 to 1.32. And then against Austria, who also had a penalty, was 1.89 to 1.6. Poland did allow 14 penalty box shots and 17 deep completions against the Netherlands. But again, they only allowed around 1.4 expected goals, which shows you how good of a box defending team they are. They didn't allow a single big scoring chance against them. And with the scenario that France is in, with it being a little bit tricky, with how Deschamps has played forever, France is a team kind of like in the same aspect of England, except they like to play in transition a little more. When they go ahead, they're going to sit deep, they're going to sit low, and they're going to force you to break them down. Now, when they don't have Mbappe, they lose their best transitional threat. So if France goes up 1-0, I think you're going to see them shut this match down. And listen, an upset against France would mean everything to Poland. I know they have nothing to play for, but it's the last match of the tournament. So of course they're going to give it a go and give it their all out. So I mean, Poland is a team that likes to get the ball out wide in transition. They like to send a lot of crosses. France during qualifying had the highest cross completion rate allowed of anybody. They were 23rd in defensive dual win rate. So I like Poland plus 1.5 at minus 105. I think the France is just a little overvalued here because they're in a scenario where they have something to play for, and Poland doesn't.
Yeah, I like the thought of I like the price of Poland handicap. I'm not sure whether I like the thought of it actually winning. So obviously Poland are out, France have flattered to deceive, and Deschamps and his playing staff will want to get their tournament started. So a statement win here would be very welcome for the French, as I imagine they've got plenty of critics back home stirred up by the French media. Currently the lowest scoring team in the tournament going into match day 3 scored 1 goal. And France might require a goal difference to lock in top spot if they beat Poland and the Netherlands beat Austria. So the onus is very much on France. What we get from Poland, like BJ said, I think they will give it a good go. Why not? They've got, thousands of supporters there who have come to cheer them on. So they may as well give it a good go in their final group game of the tournament. In terms of approaching this from a betting perspective, it wasn't too enticing for me to enter with my hard-earned money. There wasn't anything that really stood out. I do think France are overvalued. I looked at France win to nil as a potential. They're currently 367 minutes without conceding a goal, having kept a clean sheet in each of their last 4 internationals. And although their attack might not be fully at it and rivaling the front line of other nations in Germany, N'Golo Kante's level of performance has been a breath of fresh air for France just in front of the defense. It would seem that flocking to Saudi Arabia hasn't hindered his level whatsoever. And interestingly, actually, I saw a stat from Opta yesterday that he has made more major tournament appearances without losing than any other European player. So France are unbeaten in his last 17 games, which is crazy, really. So although they may not be firing up top, I still think Poland may struggle to break them down a little bit. And just overall, this is a pass from me. We're not sure about Kylian Mbappe. There's a few question marks. How does that affect France up top? I'm not sure if they'll click in this game, but they very may well do. Like I said, they probably will want to put on somewhat of a show. So I'd side with France doing in England in a low-scoring affair if I had to choose something, but I'm not overly keen on entering with an official pick.
Real quick, what would be the price on France's lowest scoring team in this tournament?
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they got one. They haven't and the only goal they've scored has been an own goal. So they actually haven't scored a goal themselves, which is crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah. The one bet I'm seriously contemplating here would be things to kind of get off the rails early and then slow down. So like a over 1.5 first half at plus 140, or perhaps France to be leading 2-0 in the halftime correct score market at 2-0. Because like Sam said, I do expect them to put the foot down a bit here, pedal to the metal, try to get ahead and make it comfortable. The problem is that it's just not been in their DNA under Deschamps, and it's also not. They haven't really played in a way that would make you think that they'd be able to clear that hurdle. So that's what I'm wrestling with here. So that's the bet I would be considering. One bet we're all considering for the next one is Austria to upset the Netherlands, or to at least give them a go. They are a plus 275 underdog against the Dutch. Netherlands is plus 115. The draw here is plus 210. They've been a tricky team to kind of get a feel for. I feel like the Dutch in this tournament, I think you can make an argument they've been both impressive in some ways and then a little dreary in the others, and kind of still a wild card. I think they came into the tournament between 16 and 20 to 1, depending on what sports book you were looking at, and they're hanging around that area, that the teens as well. And I just feel like nobody has too much of a feel for what to expect from them going forward. But I think Austria's set up well in this scenario, right? They're in a must, basically. Yeah, they can get a draw and move on, but they're going to want to win. And it's also not in Ralph Ragnick's DNA to sit back and just play for a 1-1 or a 0-0 or whatever. So I think that this situation lends itself to Austria being live here, Sam. I think that they are worthy of a play in whatever fashion you want to do it, whether you want to pick them to pull the upset or cover spread. They just look live in this matchup.
I agree, Michael. Yeah, lots of jeopardy on the line in this group. An Austria win will leapfrog the Netherlands. So you said there the Dutch are plus 115 favourites, Austria out at plus 275. I don't necessarily buy into that. I don't see there being that much of a gulf in class when these sides meet. I'm not sure it'll play out like that. So Austria are playing well. They're so well set up, and the Dutch won't enjoy that. I don't see the Netherlands having much more joy than France did on match day 1. So to see the difference in price and to be able to get Austria with a quarter goal advantage on the Asian handicap at plus 103, it feels like a nice position to be in before a ball is kicked. Austria's class shone through against Poland. We thought it would. The way Austria will set up with the Dutch keen to take the majority of possession. I can see the Netherlands struggling against them. I don't think it's a good fit stylistically for Koeman's side. Fast counter-attacking football, working transitions. Austria must be grim to play against, full of energy, lots of running, tough tackling, all the hallmarks of a Rangnick side. I back Austria's midfield to get the better of the Netherlands middle third. I could be wildly wrong, but at the prices, I'm not too interested in siding with the favourites. I also looked at like a props angle. I looked at Nicholas Seawold tackles, but they're too short now at -139 for 3. He's made 10 in 2 matches, including 8 versus France. So against the Dutch's ball carriers, that could be an option for a same game parlay if you're looking for something a little bit shorter, maybe to add to something else. But yeah, in terms of the main markets and in terms of how I think this game will go, I think getting Austria with a plus quarter goal advantage, yeah, I think that's where I'll hang my hat at plus money.
Yeah, I totally agree with Sam. I mean, here's the thing: is that the Netherlands was okay against Poland. Like, yes, they took a lot of shots, they dominated a lot of possession, but they really weren't that great in the final third. And now they're going to, for the first time in a really long time, face a team that's going to press them like relentlessly and force them to build out of the back. And here's the 2 scenarios that I keep playing on my mind of what's going to happen, right? So the Netherlands typically like to drop 6 or 7 guys deep in buildup. And they like to play a lot of short passes through them. They tried that in their very first qualifying match against France. France, they very rarely do that, but they pressed them high and they caused all sorts of problems. And they actually scored their first goal off of it. So either one of 2 things are going to happen. Either Austria are going to cause problems because they are so good and not just pressing relentlessly, but relying on pressing triggers, and leaving themselves when they are vulnerable, when they press, to force teams to send long balls, switching the play. But they, obviously have enough pace to get on the end of those and really win a lot of those tackles. So either they're going to force a lot of turnovers, or they're going to force the Netherlands into a lot of long balls. Well, if you're already dropping 7 guys deep in buildup, that means Austria is going to have a numerical advantage in winning second balls, which they are very, very good at, because they had the 3rd lowest long ball completion rate allowed during qualifying and have allowed the 4th lowest during this tournament. So either way, I think Austria is going to give them a lot of problems. And, the Netherlands as an identity of a team is a team that wants to build out of the back, that wants to control possession, that wants to control a match. If they get into an up and down type of basketball type match with Austria, well, that's just going to play right into Austria's hands. So it's going to be very difficult for the Netherlands. I mean, they're going to have to break this press, something they have not been able to do consistently against good pressing teams. So I agree with Sam. I like Austria on the money line at plus 280. This match, obviously, Austria is pretty much through unless they get blown out here and a lot of other things go wrong for them. And, like you said, Michael, like, this is a Rangnick side. They're going to go for it. Like, they could potentially win this group, or they could finish in 3rd. And if they finish in 3rd, I think they're gonna like their chances against anybody else who they have to face in the round of 16. So they're not going to sit back. They're going to force the issue here against the Netherlands. So I like them to go win this thing at plus 280.
Okay, so that's Group D. Those are the 12 p.m. kickoffs. Group C is kicking off at 3 p.m. Eastern time, and it is this one is going to be tons of fun. Let's set it up. England's atop the group right now with 4 points. Then Denmark are on 2, and they're tied with Slovenia. Both of them also have an even goal differential. And then Serbia is at the foot with 1 point and a -1 goal differential. England is the only team with a positive goal difference in this group, and it's 2 goals for, 1 goal against. This group is so perfectly poised for some chaos, and I actually think that we'll see some some white knuckles to start. Let's start with England and Slovenia. England's -300, Slovenia 10-1 on the money line, and the draw here is plus 375. I think that price is pretty crazy. I know that England is their B team would be favored over Slovenia at this tournament, but with the way that both of these teams have played, I think it looks a little crazy. So one of the concerns I have here, Sam, and you maybe could speak on it, is that there's all this pressure on building on England. They've got 4 points from 6. They haven't really played well yet. They played maybe 15 really good minutes out of 180 in this tournament so far. There's all this pressure on them to come out and perform. They've got the talent, use that talent, do something, play some more entertaining, just basically outplay, put the ball on the carpet and outplay teams. And I feel like that pressure is going to build up on them, and it could end up being a disaster, because the Slovenia side has shown they've got some teeth in terms of counterattacking, especially which with the way Šeško's been playing. I'd be a little wary if I'm England to get caught out. So I think that if they do come out on that front foot trying to impose their will from the get-go, they could get caught. I could see a situation where Slovenia goes into halftime with a lead. So I like that bet here. I like Slovenia on the first half money line at 8-1. I think that in this situation, all the pressure will be on England. Slovenia, I know that there's pressure on them too to get through the group, through to the knockout stage against the odds. But sitting back deep and forcing the England team to come to them and nick a counterattacking goal before the halftime whistle hits, I think is actually plausible here. And at the number, I think is worth a bet, especially with all the pressure that's going to be building up on England's shoulders. So that's where I'm looking here, Sam.
That makes me feel a little uncomfortable, in all honesty. But you're right. In what has been a frantic tournament, England have offered the opportunity for neutrals to collect their breath, sit back, and watch the clock for 180 odd minutes. Really, we took the lead and dropped deeper and deeper in both matches. Denmark were comfortable in possession for large spells last time out. Harry Kane doesn't look 100%. Southgate doesn't know his best team, going off some of the comments he made around not having a natural replacement for Calvin Phillips, which is just bonkers. There will be changes for this England side. Southgate will feel like he needs to find his best team, the right fit for him and his squad ahead of the knockouts. There's been reports today here in England that Conor Gallagher will replace Trent Alexander-Arnold in midfield. It felt like a change was needed there. I'm a massive Trent Alexander-Arnold fan, but I'm not sold on him in central midfield for England. That either means that Foden stays on the left and Bellingham in the 10 again, or like if I had a choice, and it might sound crazy to say after the season that Phil Foden has had, if Gallagher and Rice are to start in central midfield and Bellingham is on the team sheet, I would take Foden out of the team and go for Anthony Gordon at left wing. I'd rather Rashford or Grealish, in all honesty, but I really rate Anthony Gordon. I can see him having an impact if he's given the chance. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Their opponents, Slovenia, they're unbeaten in their last 8 games in all competitions. We shouldn't forget that. They played well going forward against Denmark and Serbia. They're brave enough to take the game to teams. They've got 2 decent strikers up top. But defensively, I just struggle to see how they cope against an England side that might only be at 70% in terms of performance. When England are in possession and moving through the thirds, they're so open back there, Slovenia. And I just can't see a situation, no matter how poor we may be looking going forward at the minute, where England doesn't find an opener. And in terms of the stats, if you look at the expected goals after match day 2, only Scotland with 0.8 xg have recorded fewer expected goals than England's 1.4 after 2 games. But no nation at the other end has conceded fewer expected goals than England's 1.0 xg. So although we might not be fully firing up top, it's still going to be really hard for this Slovenia team to break through England, I hope. So along that line of thinking, although England are short on the nose in the 1x2 markets, you can couple that with under 4 goals at -111. And I like the sound of that, because it would be very, very England to find a way, get through the group stages unbeaten for the 4th major tournament in a row, and nick a 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, and get to the round of 16.
Yeah, that comment about Calvin Phillips just was like, you already had a fire that was out of control, and then you decided to just dump 5 more gallons of gasoline on top of it. And yeah, I mean, everybody's had their say pretty much on what they think the lineup should be, and some changes probably are going to be made. But the thing that's been worrying, and this has been happening, and Sam knows this has been happening forever, is that when England faces teams that play very passive, low defensive blocks, and you saw that against both Serbia and Denmark, their passings and their rotations are just so slow. And it's just so easy to defend when the passes are just pinging around at a very slow pace. They're not able to find guys in between the lines or centrally. So even if you go look at the pass map from the match against Denmark, it's just Rice, Trent, Alexander-Arnold, Gahey, and Stones just passing the ball back and forth to each other in a very compact, small area. And I have a feeling that's probably going to happen here again, even if they decide to put Gallagher in the midfield, because Slovenia's one of the most passive teams in this entire tournament. They're going to sit in a 4-4-2, very basic, very compact, and just do exactly what both Denmark and Serbia have done, because England hasn't created over one expected goal in either of their matches. Harry Kane had 22 touches against Denmark. Like, if you look at the percentages of where England's attacks are going, you know, as an Arsenal fan, it pains me to say this, but like, they're doing a lot of what Arsenal did and what they struggled with, which is just like, let's get the ball to Saka and let's just hope that he does something and creates a chance for us from out wide. And it just isn't working, especially against very compact, low defensive blocks. But like Sam mentioned, and this is the truth, is that England's the best defensive team in the world, and they do not get beat in transition, and they don't get beat by crosses and set pieces. So what you do is you take away the three things that underdogs can beat you with. You saw that against Serbia. I mean, Serbia completed one cross into the penalty area despite firing in, I think it was like 17 or 18 of them. You know, for Slovenia, it's get the ball out wide, send it across, get it off a set piece, or let's just get the ball to Sesko and let him try to hit something from outside the box. And I don't think they're going to be able to do that. So I like under 2.5 goals at -110. Only projected a little over 2 goals for this match. So yeah, I think I'm going to keep betting these England unders until they show a little bit of what they did at the 2022 World Cup and play a little bit more attacking football with a little bit more aggressiveness.
The other Group D match at 3 p.m. Eastern time is Denmark and Serbia. As I said, Denmark's on 2 points after their back-to-back 1-1 draws with Slovenia than England. Two very different 1-1 draws. Serbia got themselves a late 1-1 draw against Slovenia in their second match, and now are +210 underdogs on the three-way line at Bet365. Denmark +125 favorites, and the draw is +250. This is a must-win for Serbia. They've got no chance but to win. They've got no option but to win if they want to advance as either second or third place team. Denmark has to avoid defeat. So the situation is quite interesting. I've been saying it from the beginning that the Serbian team should be chaotic. Don't think that they really fit that bill yet until the 97th minute or whatever against Slovenia, whenever they tied that game up. I do think that in this situation, though, I'd much rather lean. You can make the argument that would you want to be on the side of the team that's, you know, very stoic, experienced, they played together forever in Denmark, or the side that is more chaotic, kind of a wild card. And I think at the prices, I'd rather lean towards Serbia. I just don't know if the number's good enough to take on here. I think I was hoping they'd be a little bit of a bigger underdog, but I don't think it's really it's all that enticing. So I'll be rooting for the Serbian team. I've got that future that looks like it's going to die here in the group stage. But if I had to pick based on the prices, I would still look at Serbia. It's just not one that I'm all that excited for, Sam. But I do think that this game could end up being pretty chaotic with the way these two teams will want to play and the stakes and the situation at stake.
So look, Serbia is such a frustrating team to watch. Against England, and we covered it after match day 1, they really struggled to link midfield to attack. They rarely troubled England, despite having the forward-thinking players to do so. It changed a little bit when Tadic come on, and despite having an aerial advantage, their strike force in Mitrovic and Vlahovic struggling to have an impact. They lack a cutting edge at present. Serbia desperately need them to click against Denmark here, because if they don't, I'm not sure they'll get any joy against Denmark at all. They can't afford to not be efficient in the final third. When a nation like Serbia creates opportunities at this level, they have to take them, else they will get punished at international level. Denmark, for me, you mentioned it, they feel like a more well-rounded team. They've been together for a long time. They're used to these big games at big tournaments. They have the players to shoulder that burden, that pressure. They've been there and done it. And this betting game, it's all about value first and foremost, but then it's all about siding with teams and players you trust to get a selection over the line. And that's exactly what we have here in Denmark. So I kind of like Denmark at the prices. They were the better team for spells against England, although lacking a real consistent threat. That's no disgrace against England, but I wouldn't hold that against them. It should be a different story against Serbia. The Danes did look susceptible against Slovenia again and again, and that's a concern. If Serbia perform at their best level, then they have enough to be a collective nuisance in this final group game. But I'm just not sure that will happen. So, yeah, I didn't mind Denmark at the +120 to win. They're a better collective as a group. I back them to outgun Serbia in the end. I can see them being in front by the time the second half comes around, and I think that will see Serbia get desperate. So the way I'm going, instead of looking at the money line, is to look at bookings in the props market. So if this doesn't go Serbia's way, I'm confident that they become familiar with the referee. Francois Letexia is the man in the middle, and although he's not the most frivolous with his cards, I'll be shocked if Serbia don't pick up at least a couple of bookings in the second half. The ref has officiated one game at Euro 2024 so far. That was Croatia versus Albania, as the Albanians were pushing for their late equalizer. He handed out 3 Albanian cards in the last 20 minutes there. So if you think back to the World Cup when Serbia were crashing out against Switzerland in the final group game, they received 6 bookings in the second half, as well as 1 on the bench. And here, if you take Denmark will draw double chance and over 1.5 Serbia cards in the game, that's minus 120. But if you take Denmark will draw and over 1.5 Serbia second half cards on Bet365, and that gets to plus 150 if you're looking for something bigger. So I like the thought of that. Denmark to not lose the game, and then Serbia to lose their heads as the final whistle approaches.
I'm going to pass on this match. Projected it pretty close to where the market has it, but if I would go anything, I love that cards angle, Sam. I absolutely adore that because yes, as you've seen, Serbia tends to lose their heads when things start going negatively, and we've already had some, let's just say, extracurricular things going on in the crowd involving all of the Balkan teams so far this tournament. So very easy for them to lose their heads. So I'll be passing on this one, but I love Sam's cards angle on Serbia though.
Okay. We will flip the page to Thursday, but before we do that, a reminder that Wondergoal is presented by Bet365, and Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boost with them than anyone else. Every day they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays. And they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for their biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary. At Bet365, you must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, New Jersey, North Carolina, Ohio, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. And if you or anyone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, please call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, and restrictions apply. Okay, let's move on to the Wednesday kickoffs, I should say, not Thursday. We'll start with the noon Eastern time, 5 p.m. British summertime kickoffs. We'll go with Slovakia and Romania here in what is a really fun group to break down as we get into the pointy end of the group stage. Romania are on 3 points, Slovakia's on 3 points, Ukraine's on 3 points, and Belgium's on 3 points in this group. It is chaos. Let's talk Slovakia, though. They are plus 220. On the 3-way line, Romania is plus 275, and the draw is plus 110. Why is it like that? I'm looking at that. That can't be right? I'm looking at that.
The draw at plus 110. Yeah. So how it stands right now is essentially both Romania and Slovakia would be through to the round of 16 if they draw. So that's why we had a similar situation with Austria and Ukraine at the last Euros. Where like literally they both beat pretty much the same exact scenario where both of them had a win, both of them beat North Macedonia. So, and how all the other third place teams like set up, it was basically just like and they couldn't win the groups. They were like, okay, it was just like, I think the draw closed like minus 110 in that match. So the books, it opened around plus 190, plus 200 on the draw. And it's been bet all the way down.
I was going to say, last time I looked at it, it was not like this, and it just jumped off the page at me. Because I know that we're like money was going to come in on the draw, but seeing it at plus 110 here is crazy. And you don't want to. The most famous example of anything like this is like the disgrace of Guillaume in 1982. I feel like the markets tend to overreact, obviously, to stuff like this, Sam. But what are your thoughts here? Slovakia, Romania. I mean, it would be a massive achievement for both sides to get through. So you can see why the money is just going to keep pouring in on the draw.
Yeah, this is a bit of fun. I love stuff like this. So they both need a draw at least, but they also need Belgium to avoid defeat, and that's now reflected in the betting. I think on the 12th of June, this opened at plus 210. and now right down to the plus 110 favorite in the 1x2 10 days later, given the makeup of the group. We've also got the goal line at over 1.75, which is rare. And that's at minus 125. So 2 goes in the game and you win half profits, 3 goes for full profits. That's intriguing, especially after navigating a Premier League season where we were greeted with over 4.0 Asian goal lines nearly every single week. So that's interesting, but I wouldn't touch that personally, as 0-0 makes perfect sense for both. And if you choose no goal scorer in this match instead of the 0-0 on Bet365, then we're covered if there's a single own goal or 2 own goals, for example. So that's a handy angle in if you ever get to a match and you really fancy the 0-0. It just makes complete sense. Like, both of these teams, they're not exactly regulars in the knockout stages, and if they can both link hands and skip towards the round of 16 with a 0-0, then I'm gonna back it. So you can get no goal score at plus 450. I like the sound of that. So I think, that's where I'll be going.
Yeah, it's been great to like, as someone, I always take a peek at 0-0 odds for basically every match. So seeing these are basically, it's been slashed in half compared to what you normally get in this tournament. I like that angle. I'm gonna join you on that. Go with the 0-0 and watch this one. This is why we love these international tournaments, right? The situations that arise here are always so much fun. Tongues will get wagging on whether or not it's in the spirit of the game, but I mean, if you're Romanian or Slovakian, like we were saying, getting to the round of 16 in this tournament, this is how I envisioned when I said I can see Romania causing a rabble in this group and getting through. This is exactly how I saw it, just holding hands with Slovakia and walking through the doors together. That's exactly how I saw it. The other match in this one is obviously going to play out very differently with Ukraine and Belgium. I don't even know what to say anymore about Romelu Lukaku and VAR. But in this match, Ukraine is plus 375. Belgium is odds on minus 154, and the draw is plus 333. As I said, all three teams here are on three points in Group E. A point would get both these teams through. I mean, I guess it depends on the other match. It would be hilarious if all 4 teams end up on 4 points and we're sorting through crazy, tiebreakers in a tournament.
I have the tiebreakers right in front of me, Michael, and I'm not going to go into too much detail. You can go read these for yourselves if you want to. But essentially, if everybody ends on 4 points, there's 2 or 3 different scenarios that would come into play. If Belgium and Ukraine is a draw with fewer goals than Slovakia and Romania, then Romania wins the group. Belgium finishes in second and Slovakia finishes in third. But if Belgium-Ukraine ends in 1-1, or obviously Belgium wins, they win the group. But if Belgium-Ukraine ends in 1-1 and Slovakia and Romania ends in 0-0, then Belgium would finish first, Romania second, and Slovakia in third. So it's all sorts of crazy right now. But again, you can go read those for yourselves because there's 3 paragraphs here. I'm not going to waste everybody's time. But yeah, there's some real chaos scenarios. Basically, the gist of it is that Ukraine has to win. Yes. They need either to finish in third, they would need to, if they were to draw, they would need Slovakia or Romania just to end with one of those teams winning and not in a draw. So essentially that's why you're seeing Romania Slovakia at such a low price. It's just because no matter what happens, if they end in a draw, Ukraine finishes in fourth and that's it. So yeah, it's all sorts of crazy.
Yeah, needless to say, all 3 of us are going to be on Lukaku here, though.
Yeah.
Right, Sam? I mean, I don't think he's having perhaps the best tournament I've ever seen for someone who hasn't scored a goal yet. For striker, I should say. It's been outrageous. I mean, the pass to Tielemans on the opener was great, and he gets another one varred off. You feel bad for Big Rom, the former Toffee.
You really do. I've been looking for a price for Lukaku to score and the linesman to put his flag up, but I've not seen any. So if anyone's out there, I'll take minus 200.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'll take it. But no, we must be suckers for punishment after backing him in both matches so far. But we've gone so far now, we can't really deviate from Lukaku. obviously he's had another goal disallowed for offside, deemed fractionally offside, making it 3 goals in 2 matches for him. At the end of match day 2, Lukaku's 1.3 non-penalty XG was the 3rd highest in the competition. And obviously that would be much, much higher if he could keep himself onside. And yeah, looking at Belgium specifically going into last game, I called out Yannick Carrasco at left back on the pod. I didn't really like the look of that. Tedesco changed that. He brought in Arthur Theati, who is a natural centre back, along with Vertonghen, and he tucked in and formed a 3-man defence in possession, similar to how the Netherlands operate, with Castagne pushing forward on the other flank for Belgium, like Dumfries does for the Dutch. Like you said, Tillemans come in for Mangala, and he made an impact too, scoring and linking play well with those in front of him. So Tedesco saw, it wasn't quite right, changed it. Belgium looked much better. And in terms of the Ukraine, there are question marks over them defensively and offensively, and up against the nation a level above them in Belgium. I just think Belgium should win this. And even if they don't win this, I think they should be creating the opportunities to do so. So I'd steer clear of Belgium on the money line. But with the likely chance creation on display for Belgium, I feel like I said all this last week, but their leading striker to find the net, it just makes sense, regardless of what we've had the pleasure of watching from Romelu Lukaku. And just on a bit of a side note, I'm just so intrigued at where he ends up domestically. Like, I'm not sure if you've seen any links to any clubs, but as it stands, he's rocking up to Chelsea training in a few weeks. And I don't know if they'll be too pleased to see him.
Maybe they should actually start him. Honestly,
exactly.
They don't have a striker. Why don't they just start him? It's crazy. No, I'll be on Lukaku to score again. I mean, it's just been beautiful, right? Like, we say, how can he top what he did in the first match? Well, he's a toenail offsides and creates, like Sam said, he's got 1.2 non-penalty XG through the first couple matches. If you add in the 3 goals that have been VAR'd off, he would have 1.2 expected goals more than anybody in this entire tournament. He's had 8 shots so far. That's second most in the tournament. And even if you watch the Romania match late in it, like, there were so many crosses into him that they just the Romanian guys just kicked it away at the very last minute. Like, there were so many freaking chances for him to score. So yeah, let's just triple down. Why not? Let's see how he can top. Let's see how he can top it this time.
Yeah, I'm going to be on the 2+ at 5-1. Probably sprinkle the Patrick at 25-1 too, because I feel like if he gets one and the linesman keeps his flag down, and we don't see the square come out, I think that it's going to lead to more and more. He's still just 14-1 to win the Golden Boot.
I know.
Just 14. And
Ukraine's got to go for this too. Like, they are not in a situation where they're playing for a draw. They have to win. They got to make up some goal difference. So it's going to be open. Let's see.
It's so annoying that this number hasn't drifted though. Like, I don't understand. Like, I get that Musiala leads the, he's the pace setter right now, and it's only 2, so it's not like he's out of sight, out of mind. But to keep the number at the same price that it's been since the tournament started, like as it shortened up a bit, it's so annoying. Because
if you look at the leading goal scorers, Michael, it's actually own goal leads the tournament at 6 goals. Lukaku goals VAR'd off at 3, and then Musiala and Fulton at 2.
Exactly. Oh God, it's been so much fun.
Beautiful. Well, it's like this, we wonder how could we top Morata in 2021?
Yeah, I know.
This has been
we found a way to do it. We found
a
way to
joy.
We found a way to find something even crazier. Yeah. So we're all over Lukaku again for that one. All right, we'll wrap up with the 3 p.m. kickoffs on Wednesday. That's Group F, which features Portugal atop. They've won the group. They were on 6 points. Turkey, Czechia, and Georgia will be fighting it out for the final 2 spots if they get through, or get a 3rd place through. In the knockout stage, Turkey is on 3 points with a -1 goal difference. Czechia 1 point, -1 goal difference. Georgia 1 point and a -2 goal difference. They also have to take on Portugal in the final match. So they're going to be up against it. They're they're plus 650 underdogs on the 3-way line against Portugal. The Portuguese are minus 250, and the draw is 4-1 here. It's an interesting scenario. We talked, BJ and I talked about it as Sam was boiling in Croatia for the last episode. That it's the Albania-Spain angle, right? Which is one team has nothing to go for. You'd imagine that they'd want to keep things rolling, but at the same time don't want to risk any, especially with some of their players who are aging out of their prime and playing really well. I mean, Sam, you tabbed Bernardo Silva before the tournament as a player to watch and invest in futures. He's had a really good tournament. I thought Ronaldo was really good the other day as well. So like it's a fine kind of balance that they'll have to make do with in a game that you don't have anything to really gain from. Georgia, meanwhile, has been plucky. They've been exciting and all that. So I guess I would lean towards. I think that this is a good one to live bet. If Georgia goes ahead early or something, then back Portugal to come back, or maybe if Georgia's down 1-0, that you can look at a draw. It's one. I think it's just one you'd have to watch for the game to develop, and you'll be able to find an angle in. But Sam, you do think that there's at least a slight bit of value on I guess an aesthetically pleasing game that ends with Portugal on top.
I think so, Michael. Common sense says that this would be the perfect time to rest a few key players. Pepe and Ronaldo, probably the standouts. And resting players at a major tournament is a massive privilege. It's not something that should be overlooked or underrated. However, head coaches like momentum, sports teams in general like momentum. It breeds confidence. So the changes might not be wholesale, but it should be a changed lineup. But even so, that changed lineup for Portugal, I mean, we're talking about a second string side that would give the majority of nations in Germany a really, really good game. So, yeah, they may make some changes, but the changes that will come in, like for example, let's say Ronaldo goes on the bench and Diogo Jota comes in, it's not too bad. And if we look at Georgia, I just can't see them not conceding plenty of chances. Like, yeah, Portugal might be rotated, but if we look at the stats, where is it? If we look at the stats, so across the first two match days of Euro 2024, Georgia faced more shots, 49, more shots on target, 20, and a higher XG against figure at 6.1 than any other side in the competition. And Georgia and Valencia's goalkeeper, Mamardashvili, made more saves, 16, than anyone else in the competition. So if you think that Portugal were going to score here, which is minus 1205, then Georgia really do have to come out swinging even more so than they did previously. That should really open the game up. We should see goals. We probably should see something which has happened in both of Portugal's games so far, which is Portugal winning over 2.5 goals. In all honesty, this is a bit of a lean for me. I just wanted to showcase where my thoughts are for this game. It's not one that's going to be an official punt, but I touched on it a minute ago. So dependent on whether Ronaldo plays or not, and someone else is leading the line, if it is a Diogo Jota, for example, that may be a way in as well to the game. You can get on him at 2.40. What's that in plus 140? Anytime goal scorer, that could be a way into the game as well. If you weren't too sure about taking Portugal and over 2.5 goals. So that was my line of thinking. But yeah, it's probably a pass for me overall.
Yeah, I was considering taking Portugal on some alts here because what you saw against the Czech Republic with Georgia is we were all and everybody was like praising them for how brave they were in their first match against Turkey, how they didn't just sit back, how they took the onus to them and they actually played with them for most of the match. You see the other end of the spectrum of when you have a low block counterattacking centric team that just decides we're going to play open, we're going to press, and we're just going to take it to them. The negative of that is when you face a team that's way better than you leave yourself incredibly open for them to create a bunch of chances, which is exactly what the Czech Republic did. I lost count of how many crosses they ended up sending in and completing in the penalty area against Georgia. But Portugal against Turkey just didn't even try to play through the middle. If you go look at their pass map, they were just trying to play around them and just try to send in crosses and beat them that way. And honestly, I didn't think they were that great against Turkey. The first, obviously they got lucked into an own goal. The first goal to Bernardo Silva was a deflection that went right to him. So yeah, again, the problem with a lot of these teams in this tournament is that when you play a very passive, low defensive structure and you're forced to come out of that, you leave yourself very open because you only have one style of play. So that is the problem here for Georgia. So I like Sam's angle on here. I was potentially looking at over 3. also maybe a Portugal -2, somewhere in that range. But yeah, with Portugal having nothing to play for, it's kind of hard to get behind some type of those type of alt spreads. So I'm just going to pass and let Ronaldo score a hat trick and ruin all the golden boot for everybody.
Not a bad call actually at all. Okay, that brings us to the final match we'll talk about, which is Turkey and Czechia on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time as well. The Czech Republic or Czechia, they are plus 155, so slight favorites on the three-way line. Turkey plus 175 at Bet365. The draw here is plus 240. As I said, Turkey's on 3 points. The Czech Republic are on 1, so a must-win scenario for the Czech Republic, and then if Turkey loses and Georgia pulls the upset, they'd be out. So they're gonna kind of look at it as a must not lose situation for Turkey. But I do think that these two teams would be more comfortable playing the style that would be fit the opposite, right? Like I think Turkey would be the team that would want to go out and grab something from the game. The Czech Republic would be the side that would be more comfortable, sitting deep and trying to grind out a draw. So I do think that there's maybe a little bit of value on Turkey because I just don't trust the Czech Republic's ability in this kind of situation to go out, be on the front foot, needing a win, and then needing to keep Turkey off of it. So this game should open up, and I just don't think that is what the Czech Republic, their skill set would benefit them based on their skill set. So I think maybe a little bit of value on Turkey on the money line here to get the job done, BJ. Yeah, they had a tough go against Portugal, but I do think that there's more to this side. There's more to this side story in this tournament than just going out here in the group stage.
Yeah, I love the over 2.5 goals at -120. You mentioned it. So the Czech Republic has to go for this, which I actually think suits them pretty well because they are a transition-based team. I know that they struggled in transition against Portugal. A lot of that had to do with the fact they were having to play a low block and transition from deep. But what you saw against Georgia is how capable and how good of a high-pressing side they are. So they ended up creating 3 expected goals, only scored once against Georgia, but they had 28 high recoveries, which is the most that anybody's had in this tournament so far. And with them having to be the one that goes for it, and Turkey in a situation where, as it's looking right now, 3 points and whatever goal difference you have might actually be good enough to get through here. I saw that Hungary, even with a -3 goal differential with 3 points, has like a 64% chance of qualifying for the round of 16. So obviously we're recording this on Monday before the Group B matches. So they're going to know exactly what they need to get to the round of 16. But Turkey under Montella is a team that will at least start their possessions from building out of the back. You saw against Portugal early on, they were trying to play a lot of long balls over the top, which actually was working for the first 15 or so minutes. And then obviously Portugal scored and they got the own goal and they could just sit back and force Turkey to break them down. But there's a match that I keep going back to, and I know it was a friendly and you don't take too much away from friendlies, but Turkey played Austria in a friendly in March and they lost 6-1 primarily because they tried to build out of the back and Austria just kept turning them over and over and over again. The Czech Republic is a really good pressing side and they can do the exact same thing here to Turkey. But the problem with the Czech Republic that you also saw against Georgia is that, yes, they can press effectively from the front, but once you beat the first or second line of pressure, there is just acres of space for you to operate in transition. And Turkey has the technicians, the ball carriers, and the passers to play through those first 2 lines of pressure. The other problem here, I think, for Turkey is that they've been a little shaky defending crosses, which is pretty much the only way that the Czech Republic is going to create chances in this match. They've allowed 19 accurate crosses against both Georgia and Portugal. 6 of those have been completed into the penalty area, which is 5th most in the tournament. So I like over 2.5 goals at -110. I think the Czech Republic is going to make this really, really chaotic. And the style that Turkey plays is going to play into a transition basketball type of match, even though they would just need a draw to get through to the round of 16. And I think that over 2.5 goals has quite a bit of value.
So yeah, Turkey need just that point to qualify from the group stages, as BJ just said, in what will be the first time since 2008 for the nation. But it's a fanatical country when it comes to football. They're so passionate. I can't think of many nations that live and breathe football or soccer, actually, isn't it? Sorry, that's my bad. There's probably loads of you wincing at that at home. But anyway,
Oh, that's
regardless what it's
okay.
called,
You can say soccer or football. We don't care on this
is
one.
that all right? Yeah.
Yeah, we don't care. I try to see. I try to be proper, Sam, and say football sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think
How does
people
that go
might.
down?
Yeah, I don't know. People see it both ways, right? Like just some Americans just be like, let's say soccer, but I try to, call it what it should be, right?
Oh, well, let's mix it up a bit. Let's go with football. But regardless what it's called, like the Turkish people population absolutely love it. So this would be massive for the country. So there is no chance that this Turkey side turns up and plays for a low scoring draw. They'll think that they have enough to overcome this Czech Republic side too. So I actually love the bet that BJ's put up for this. They're going to go for it. They'll be gunning for all 3 points and they'll be aiming for that second spot in Group F. No doubts about it. Yeah, Turkey are the plus 175 slight underdog. So straight away, my thinking was to get Turkey on side somehow. It's so close to call, really. This is definitely more of a lean than anything. There'll be people listening thinking, I really fancy the Czech Republic here. And there'll be plenty more thinking, I really fancy the draw. So if you look at Czech Republic, they created a lot of chances versus Georgia. And it might be the same here. Probably not to the same degree, but they'll have their opportunities. On match day 2, they managed 4 big chances, 3.07 XG, 27 shots, 1 goal. Now, you've got to be doing better than that. That was the most shots and the highest XG any side has recorded in a single game across the tournament in the opening 2 match days. Now, I feel like this has the opportunity, with both sides going for a win, of having a similar kind of feel to the Georgia versus Turkey fixture. It won't be as chaotic, although I would like to see it. But there should be spells of it being end-to-end, chances in quick succession, the game being finely balanced for periods. And I've said all that, and to be honest, I think I've started to lean more towards BJ's over 2.5 goals pick. But I am going to put Turkey forward on the 0.0 Asian line. It's more of a lean, but you can get that at plus 100, which I thought was pretty good with the draw on side in terms of refunds.
Cool. So all of us on the same side, basically, of which should be a fun one here, open match. I like Turkey as well. That brings us to our underdog parlay, 8 matches to go from to pick from here. So we decided to bring it back for this episode. Anything better than 2-1 can be chucked in here to give us a pretty big payout. BJ, you can get us started.
Austria plus 280 against the Netherlands. I think Ralph Ragnick is going to take Coleman to school here. They are going to press their buildup. They are going to be really effective at forcing those high turnovers. And even if they don't, they're going to force the Netherlands into a lot of long balls that they are very capable defending. 4th lowest long ball completion rate allowed so far in this tournament. They're a really good transition side. Netherlands, by nature, wants to be a build out of the back, possession dominant type team. But if they're forced into this transition back and forth type of match, it's going to suit Austria very well. So I like them to pull off the upset at plus 280.
I'm going to go with Slovenia on the first half money line at 8-1 against England. I think there's going to be tons and tons of pressure on England to come out and play with a little bit more risk and abandon in their game. I think that could leave them vulnerable in the back. They've been really good defensively for quite a while under Gareth Southgate. But if they do take some more risks and leave themselves open to a Slovenia side that has shown some counter-attacking chops, I think that we could see the Slovenians go into the break with a lead, hopefully 1-0, cash that 8-1. I don't know if they'll be able to keep it up over 90 minutes, so I'm going to shorten this one, try to get Slovenia to the break ahead and cash this 8-1. Sam, what about you?
I'm going for no goal score at plus 450 in Romania versus Slovakia. So this is huge for both nations. A draw takes both into the knockouts. I'd expect Romania to sit in, Slovakia to knock it around for large spells. But in a game where neither need to score, it just makes sense to side with this as an underdog punt. There won't be much risk taking. Why would there be? If it ends 0-0, both of these teams who are strangers to the knockout stages of a major tournament, like I said, they can lock arms and skip gleefully towards the round of 16 with 4 points under their belt, grinning from ear to ear. So yeah, Romania versus Slovakia, no goal scorer.
Okay, if all 3 of those legs come through for us, we're looking at 187-1, which brings us to our favorite bets for the round. If you had to pick one, BJ, what would you go with?
Czech Republic, Turkey over 2.5 goals at -120. This should be a very fun, chaotic back and forth type match. The Czech Republic needs 3 points to get to the round of 16, whereas Turkey will be just fine with a draw to get there. But the Czech Republic, by nature, is a high pressing, high intensity, transition based team. Turkey under Montella is a team that wants to build out of the back, but likes to turn that into a transition opportunity. So it's going to create a very back and forth basketball type match. But Turkey really hasn't been a very good build out of the back type of team. They've actually turned the ball over quite a bit leading up into this tournament. The Czech Republic had 28 high recoveries against Georgia. That's the most anybody's had so far in this entire tournament. They created well over 3 expected goals, but only found the back of the net once. So I think we're going to see a very up and down type of match here. Second place in the group is going to be very vital, but I think we're going to see a lot of goals here. So like over 2.5 at -110.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with our man, Romelu Lukaku, to score 2 goals against the Ukraine. He's 5-1. Lukaku's had 3 goals disallowed already. If you took all his expected goals, both pre and post VAR reviews, he'd be lapping the field in that category. He has more goals waved off than any player has scored scored in this tournament. It's absurd. At some point, the dam should break. Maybe it'll be in September when he's back in the Premier League or something. But I'm hoping it will come against Ukraine on Wednesday. So 5-1 on Lukaku to score 2+ for Belgium. Sam, what do you got?
England to win and under 4 goals at -111. So England are looking to go through a 4th consecutive UEFA Euro group stage unbeaten. This is what they do under Gareth Southgate. They are masters of progressing to the knockouts with minimal fuss. We can get caught up, especially over here in England, in like the levels of performance and how we're not blowing teams away when we should. And that includes myself, but Gareth Southgate's England are brilliant at this stage, even if it's not too easy on the eye. And we mentioned it earlier in the pod. After match day 2, only Scotland have recorded fewer expected goals than England's 1.4 in the 2 games, but no nation has conceded fewer expected goals than England's 1.0 XG. So I'm assuming it will be more the same here. It will be very, very England to win this 1-0, 2-0, 2-1.
Perfect. All right, that wraps up this episode of Wondergoal. We will be back ahead of the round of 16. BG and I will continue to cover Copa America as well, scattered throughout there. But until we get to there, thank you to our sponsors, Bet365, to our producer, Noah. Thank you for listening and rating, reviewing, subscribing. Best of luck, everybody, as we bring the group stage to a close.